Having twin granddaughters is an adventure, if not an education. They are identical twins, and yet I have found over their 4 years very little that is identical with them. They have their own distinct personalities. And where that comes to play with Papa is that one of our favorite endeavors when I visit is to build. I can build with Rachel. We have a wonderful cooperation system. We both are dreamers. We come up with ideas. What if we do this? And sometimes they work, and sometimes they fail, and sometimes it's a matter of me recognizing how to structurally make it happen. But it's always together. Julia, on the other hand, is a different animal. She has her ideas about what things are to be. And one of her most often used phrases when we build together is, Papa, no, that's not the way it happens. I don't want that. And if I impose my will and do it anyway, she wipes it out. It's all about her way. And isn't that true with most of us? We like to have it our way. We like control. We're hardwired to take control where we can. And when our lives reach crisis, it's usually because we're out of control in some aspect of our lives, whether it's our health, our families, our jobs, the world. I used to teach my hospice nurses dealing with particularly cancer patients, a disease that literally takes control. To find those areas in the patients' and the families' lives that they can control and to focus on that, help them to engage in those activities. It gives them a sense of security in the midst of chaos. But that control can also be harmful to relationships, to our own psyches. But it's part of our nature. We can trace its roots all the way back to the garden. As Christians, we like to talk about that story as the fall or original sin. But the truth of the matter is the whole understanding of original sin took 3 centuries after Jesus' death to be promulgated by Augustine. And our Jewish brothers and sisters have no concept of the garden scene as original sin. It just is a descriptor of the way things are. And that's the way things are. We want control. We want to play God. Those opening chapters of Genesis are all about that. I will give you everything, God says. Just don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Well, the serpent encourages them to take control. God just doesn't want you to do those things because God knows that you'll become like him. And they do, and they're kicked out of the garden. And they have to live with the consequences of their actions, and they're not pretty. But one of the pieces that's often missed is that God first clothes them, provides for them, and then goes with them to care and to protect them. It is the whole story of the Hebrew Scriptures, of a God who continually cares for his people. And when we read those pages, we recognize how often our need for control stretches that relationship. One of the things I've learned working with Julia is I have to have great patience and back away my desire to be in control. How often do we test God in that way? Lent is an interesting season. It's had a wide variety of interpretations, practices. For me, it's always been a baptismal season, a living into who we are as God's people. From Ash Wednesday, when we mark our foreheads with the cross, much like that we were baptized with. A promise that God will be with us, even unto death. Some of those practices have been interesting over the years. I mean, I grew up giving things away. Giving up candy, chocolate. My favorite as a teenager was I gave up smoking. Now, I never smoked at all, so it was an easy one to keep. But it looked good. Instead of giving something up, or perhaps the one thing I encourage you to pay attention to giving up this year, is giving up control. Now, some control is necessary, as I said earlier. It's healthy. It gives us a sense of security in the midst of chaos. And what I'd like you to do is to spend some time during Lent to reflect on where those areas are, where you need healthy control. Where are the things that feed you, that give you security and hope in the midst of the chaos and confusion of this world? The second thing I'd like to encourage you to do is, where are those areas of control that maybe are a little out of hand or are detrimental to you, to your mental health, to your relationships with family and friends, to your relationship with God? Where are those areas of control? And then finally, where is God pushing you, encouraging you to give up control, to let God be God? Where is God blessing you each day as you continue to grow into God's grace? I wish you well this Lenten season. I will pray for you as we walk together, that controlling people. Thanks be to God that God has more patience than Papa. Amen.